Future Knight, el caballero del futuro.
It's such a rare and wonderful treat when an indie game pops up with an incredibly original premise, and then manages to deliver on that idea completely. Future Night, a new release by Studio Koba, takes its entire visual aesthetic from handheld LCD titles like the Game & Watch series and Tiger Electronics toys. I had a few of them growing up, the only one of which I really enjoyed was Space Invaders since it was at least a kind of close approximation of the real thing. It's a part of gaming history most people don't look back on very fondly. There are aspects of those devices that are pretty charming, though, and Future Night demonstrates an incredible appreciation for them while being a much more compelling gameplay experience. I'll talk about presentation first because it's the thing that jumps out the most when you first see gameplay. The UI is a border around the game designed to look like the body of a handheld. All the health, stamina, and stats are displayed on it. It's a very cute and novel way of conveying information. The glowing symbols and nice metallic finish definitely seem more based on the premium feel Nintendo wanted the Game & Watch games to have, as opposed to the more cheap plastic of Tiger stuff. The backgrounds are made up of simple muted colors against an off-green background. There's quite a bit of variety throughout the game, and they do a great job of feeling like distinct, recognizable locations without pushing too far outside of what could have plausibly been on one of these things. Foreground elements like the player, enemies, and collectibles are all solid black. The attention to detail here is absolutely incredible. You get visible shadows cast from the foreground that perfectly emulate how these games really look, and it adds a sense of depth and realism that really sells the aesthetic. There's even a subtle chromatic aberration around the outlines. It's clear Studio Koba loves LCD games, and their passion for capturing the visual style faithfully really paid off. I seriously don't think you could nail it any better than this. It does a few other fun things with the visuals as well. Enemies often start out as faded colors and light up as you approach, giving you time to react and prepare. Every time you kill an enemy, it also causes the screen to crack, which makes combat feel super punchy and satisfying. It does obviously take a lot of creative liberties, though. Smooth animations and scrolling, more than a single screen, basically everything about the scope and gameplay pushes far beyond what would ever be possible in an LCD game. Mechanically, it isn't really trying to capture that style, it's more so meant to evoke the way you'd imagine these kinds of games in your head as a kid. The game opens up with a nice comic book style cutscene introducing you to the absolutely insane plot. 30 years ago, an actor famous for portraying the titular character in the Future Night TV series passed away. After the subsequent ending of the show, an old lady in a nursing home whose only solace left was watching Future Night began slowly losing her mind watching an empty static screen. Some kind of eldritch god or alien creature communicated with her through the static and got her to start a doomsday cult that completely took over the world. In order to fix the timeline, a scientist spent 30 years turning the preserved corpse of Future Knight into a bio-android that could travel through time, as well as transforming the cancerous tumor that killed him into a sentient companion called Two More. Now that you've been sent to the past, you have 8 hours before the moment the old lady brainwashed the entire world and started the apocalypse. The premise is ridiculous, and you get more shortcut scenes like this after each of the 8 worlds building on it. It's fun and it adds to the silly tone of the game nicely. Let's get into the actual gameplay, though. It's a run and gun platformer with a pretty heavy emphasis on combat. You have an ammo meter for your gun before you need to reload it, and a powerful melee attack on a cooldown. Neither take very long to recharge, so as long as you're using both effectively, there isn't much downtime. You also have a dodge roll with iframes, but it can't be spammed, and it's often better to just utilize normal movement to dodge projectiles. The core gameplay gimmick is that Two More can eject from Knight's body and move around on his own. Knight can survive 3 hits and his health recharges while Two More is ejected, but Two More dies instantly upon getting hit. Two More has a strong dash attack and an incredibly fast fire rate, which makes him a glass cannon, and his stamina while attacking only recharges once he's returned to Knight. If Knight dies, you can try and survive as Two More for a bit until Knight respawns. The thing that makes the game so special is that this gameplay gimmick is balanced perfectly and pushed to its absolute limit. The LCD gimmick is great, but it's honestly just icing on the cake for how fantastic it feels to play. Controls are very snappy and responsive. It has a bit of a learning curve, but when you get into the flow of combat switching between Knight and Two More, it's some of the best platforming action I've ever experienced. The fact that Knight can respawn and heal when Two More is ejected probably seems a little busted, but with how weak Two More is and how crowded and chaotic the screens get later, this is absolutely necessary. I played it on hard, and it had a fantastic difficulty curve from start to finish. World 1 starts off in the streets. Each world is 3 levels long, and the whole game takes about 6 hours to beat. Straight off the bat, everything that makes the game special is apparent. Creative, fluidly animated enemies with unique attacks start coming at you. You'll get accustomed to the fact that ejecting 2 more basically acts as a double jump, and when you combine it with his 2 directional dashes, it gives a lot of creative options for movement. There are bonus challenge rooms you can enter to collect black triangles, which are necessary if you want to fight the secret boss later. These challenges start out pretty simple, but they get pretty brutal by the end. One thing to note about the difficulty, at least on hard, is that aside from boss checkpoints, dying sends you back to the very start of a level. Each stage only takes 5 minutes or less to complete, though, so this never felt very frustrating. You keep the black triangles you collected as well, and if anything, knowing the level layout makes the second run even more fun. I have a feeling speedruns and hitless runs of this game are going to be really cool to watch. As you progress through the first world, you're pretty much always encountering new enemies. The game never runs out of novel designs or interesting attack patterns, and it helps the game stay fresh. Eventually, you'll make it to the first boss. Bosses never drag on for too long, and they lean into the bullet hell style of weaving through chaotic attack patterns. I like the use of the LCD backlight here, too. The game does this to even better effect later. After World 1, you get a second tutorial showing you that you can glide, and if 2 more dashes back into Knight's body, it does a giant high-risk, high-reward attack. I didn't use these a ton, but they are nice additions to your moveset. World 2's park theme is very cute. I love the dudes in duck costumes that jump out of the water and the swan boats that rush past. The animation in this game is so bouncy and fun. It mixes influences from cartoon and children's anime to create a really unique and goofy art style. I should also mention the soundtrack. Every song in the game is made up entirely of edited vocal samples. It's very quirky and strange in a way that perfectly complements the game. World 3's construction sites introduce rails you can hold onto and climb. It creates interesting challenges as you try to fight over death pits while being shot at. It's also when the difficulty of the game really starts turning up with all the stage hazards and crazy enemies. I got stuck here pretty hard at one point. Oh, come on, dude. That one's not even my fault. It's hard to stay angry at a game with a fat cartoon poop that runs at you, though. It's also got one of my favorite boss fights. A big part of the level design is getting locked into combat arenas where you have to clear out hordes of enemies to progress, kinda like a beat 'em up. The layouts get pretty creative, and different combinations of enemies make for incredibly engaging encounters. I know some people will probably feel like it hurts the pacing, but spawn triggers are tied to enemy deaths, so the faster you learn how to kill them, the quicker they go by. World 4 is, I don't know if I can show this on YouTube. I'm really glad the tone of this game is as lighthearted and silly as it is, because I don't think I'm even allowed to say what I'm looking at right now. The farther we get in, the more the game forces you to use 2 more to get through these black cubes that you can only break with his dash, or clear large gaps that are impossible without ejecting from Knight. It gets a ton of mileage out of the character swapping mechanic, and it really pushes you into utilizing the full extent of your tools, especially in the bonus rooms. A lot of shielded enemies also have the same triangle pattern as the blocks, and you can instantly break it by dashing through with two more. It is kind of terrifying to go for, though, since you die in one hit. It pushes that idea even further in the last level of the world. Enemies will keep spawning until this clock ticks down, but dashing into the button speeds it up a little bit. The boss here is fantastic again. All of them are, honestly. She shoots out Dragon Ball Z mouth beams, and you can dash into her forehead when it glows for huge damage. I'm glad we're finally done with the kindergarten, so I don't have to worry about getting demonetized. I don't know what's next, but it can't be any worse than that. Alright. I do actually really like this world. It amps up the stage hazards with the acid and water spouts. Platforming starts getting much harder, and it's a ton of fun. There's also some insane Cronenberg-esque body horror. I don't know what the hell they're putting in the baby formula here, but I'm sure it's FDA approved. Oh yeah, I haven't mentioned it yet, but you can also use the currency to unlock custom skins for the HUD, as well as a few special ones locked behind achievements. I kept the default one while recording footage, but there's a ton of unique variants here. The final boss here is an alien, apparently, which makes me feel a little bit less guilty. World 6 takes place inside a Japanese restaurant. You have chefs launching shrimp tempura missiles and flying hand rolls shooting at you. There are conveyor belts everywhere and a healthy serving of instant death spikes that start pushing into Celeste territory. I did get soft-locked a few times here due to weird collision issues for some reason, which forced me to just fully close the game because I couldn't even open the pause menu. It only happened a few times and only around here though, so I'm sure it'll get patched out, but it was a little annoying. I pushed past the trio of sushi chefs and onto World 7. The gameplay here takes a detour into a full-on shmup. It works really well, and I absolutely adore the visual design here. Using the flickering background and the light bleed from the LCDs on the top and bottom to create a sense of momentum, despite the background never actually scrolling, is so clever. It doesn't overstay its welcome, and it's a nice change of pace to break things up before World 8. This one is very much a show me what you've learned moment. You fight through an exterior park area, through a building, and even out onto the scaffolding, facing off against every enemy type so far, and a few new ones. It's a great culmination of mechanics, and it caps off the experience nicely with a solid final boss. The secret boss is definitely worth going for if you want a more complete ending to this, and with each stage having a part-time, there's plenty of incentive for replays. Overall, this one is just a fantastic little indie that really nails everything it's going for. This one's probably going to land on my end of the year list, and at $13, it's more than worth your money. That's pretty much it. See you later.